podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll, and tonight I am joined by my very good friends. The band is back together. First of all, we have Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy, and we also have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato. Joining me here tonight, boys, we are here to review an epic movie.
Yep.
Grand.
Dune Part 2.
Yep. The first big movie of the year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Which
And
was...
We only had to wait 4 extra months to get it. So.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out last year, last year.
Yeah.
Worth the wait.
It was. Yeah.
Spectacular. So, yeah. Really excited to discuss this with you guys. But before we jump in, you guys doing okay? How's it going?
Yeah, man, good. I know we're actually recording this a day later.
That's right.
But, yeah, we all saw the movie together, which was great.
Yeah.
It was a fun Friday.
It was fun to do kind of a Friday night release. We saw it in Screen X.
Yes.
We did.
So,
Well,
learned a lot about Screen
If
X.
we want to start, just with that experience of it, I'd say it was lackluster in a lot of ways in comparison to what I was
it started
thinking
out pretty
it was gonna
cool.
be.
Started out great. I was like,
Started out,
ooh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, the Screen X, man, if they would have did it the whole movie, then yeah.
I guess I just assumed
There
it
were
would be the
certain
whole
scenes
movie.
that they didn't do the whole movie. And
Yeah.
I was like, is there a problem? Is there function wrong?
It just felt a little underwhelming for it's supposed to be like a superior experience,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have much rather preferred 40X and actually get to ride the sandworm with.
Yeah. That would have been
sick.
phenomenal
Yeah.
to ride the
even just IMAX, maybe,
Yeah.
Just the sound, the sheet, the seats shaking with the...
I mean, I'm going to watch this movie again, so it's just a matter of
when and where.
Yeah.
And how much. Yeah, no, we saw Screen X, which I guess if you don't know, if you're listening, you're like, what the heck? They didn't explain what Screen X is.
Yeah.
The walls, the two side walls in the theater are also like, they have projectors that shoot onto those walls, so for parts of the movie, it feels like you're getting a way more immersive experience.
Yeah.
So your peripherals are filled with more from the movie. Like there's actually like there's the way it works is there's certain lenses they put on the camera and it catches way wider.
Yes.
So there's people. There's even people that's like in the shots that like, oh, I didn't know that was it worked that way. So it's kind of cool. So again, it was a cool experience, but I think it would have been a lot better. I think we all just assumed it was going to be the whole entire movie.
Yeah, that was me. We didn't do enough research.
And maybe it might have been a little bit better if it was in a smaller theater. I feel like that could have helped.
It was already a pretty small theater, if you think about
It's
it.
a little narrow.
For the location we were at, yeah. It was
But
narrow.
still, I feel like even like a little bit smaller, or maybe if we had chosen seats that were a little bit closer up, we hadn't done the classic back center, maybe it would have been a little bit better then. It felt more like
You got one person to thank for back center.
I love that seat, man.
Dude, okay, so
I love that seat.
For a normal movie, back center is elite. That is the spot. The only reason I'm saying that is just like maybe because of the fact that the screen's on the side, not being all the way back might have been a little bit more immersive in it.
Okay, good point.
Justin loves back center.
I do.
Oh, I do too. I mean, I really
Well,
do.
in our local town here, or maybe it's there's one theater we go to that always gets me where I'm like, it feels like I'm watching on an iPhone because we're so far,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, why do you like that? Because like I get my vision's catching more of things that aren't on the screen. Anyways, who cares? We're here to talk about Dune 2. Big shout out, first of all, to all of our listeners, everyone who's tuning in. We really appreciate you guys. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen and to follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod. And that's right, you might be hearing the squeaky toys from my dog, who is running around while we are recording.
Yep.
Every time she's down here during the podcast, this happens. So, anyways, you guys want to jump into this movie?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Anything you want to say pre-spoilers? Maybe just for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, pre-spoilers. I mean, the cast is star-studded, man.
Star-studded cast, for sure.
And everybody comes with their A game. Everybody. It's such a well-performed movie.
Rewatch the first Dune.
Yeah, that's good.
Before you go into it. If you're gonna go, rewatch the first Dune.
Yes, that's really good advice. We did that. Helped us out a lot because there's just so much. It's a big, long sci-fi movie that you don't like. I didn't understand.
And you just catch other things. Second time through, you catch things. How many other times through you catch things.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and the watching it over again, it really prepares you for like the more political battle that's actually going on throughout the entire world that they've built for us.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of world building in the first movie.
Yeah.
I mean, and in the second movie as well. But yeah, very good. Okay, I think it's time. We should jump in. Time to review Dune Part 2. Here is your spoiler warning. Yeah, guys, this movie is freaking epic.
Yeah.
It really was. It was epic. I did mention grand earlier. It is. It feels like a big movie.
Yes.
Like it's obviously it's a big movie, but blockbuster. But I'm talking about like it feels large. Like your universe is massive.
Yes.
And like
Feels like an epic.
Yeah, you fully feel like you're in it. Like
Yes.
you're involved in it.
Yeah.
It's great. I love that kind of movie, man.
Yep. It was it really was epic. I think it was interesting that it starts out literally right where the last movie leaves off,
Yes.
Yes.
which caught me off guard. I thought maybe some time was going to pass by. I think Chuck even said that last night. We were hanging out with him watching it, but yeah, it just they still have literally Jamis like wrapped up. They're carrying him.
Still bringing them. Yeah.
Yep. But they're being hunted by some Harkonnen.
Yes.
And literally, the first act of this movie, like the first full hour, is just on Arrakis. It's just him. It's just Paul like learning the ways of the Fremen.
Yeah.
Now I say that as if that's all it was. That was a lot. Like there was so much depth in those moments. But that was the first hour. So what you guys think of like that first act?
Well, I think it was really important to do that because in the first movie, although we learn a little bit about the Fremen, a lot of it's kind of like this veiled, like almost legend type of a thing. It's like this oral, like passing down of stuff. This, it's almost like a ghost story in some ways about what the Fremen are, who they are, what they can do, kind of situation. And this is like the first act is kind of like this whole. Well, you've heard the ghost story of what this is. Now you get to actually see what the Fremen are.
Yeah.
And you get pulled behind, you get to see how they actually interact, who they are, where they actually live. You actually get to see a siege.
Yeah, that's true.
In these moments, and you get to see them, on a relatively large scale fight for the first time. Because I believe up until this point, the only thing you had seen was literally just Jamis and
That's it.
and Paul fight.
Right. And it's talked about, though, and how skilled they are.
Yes.
And just their tactics and stuff like that. But then you didn't actually see that in the first movie. But
Yeah. And even the Duke even was getting at it. And he was like the idea of what he could do with the friendship
Desert
of
power,
these of this group with Desert Power. Yes.
Yeah, but the Harkonnen, they kind of just view the Fremen as like scum of the earth.
Yes.
Rats, literal rats.
Rats.
Literally,
Yeah, they call
yes.
them rats.
Yeah.
Scum of Arrakis. I don't think they have any respect that they have any sort of warriors, or they don't pose a threat to them. They do, but they don't view them as a threat.
Yeah.
They underestimate the Fremen a lot.
Yes. Well, even to the point of, I think one of the biggest ways they show it is the idea of the estimates. Like at the time, they were like the Harkonnens from the first movie. They're like, the Harkonnens said there was maybe 50,000 on the entire planet. And with when Duncan comes back, he was like, "Oh yeah, it's more in the millions."
Yeah.
This idea, it's such a blatant here are the numbers to just show you how much the Harkonnens underestimate them, literally numbers wise. And part of and it's also kind of I don't think they care to even try to figure out what they are. It's this weird idea of they're just this nuisance, that they don't see them. They don't even see them as people. I don't think they're not. They're just these things that make it difficult to harvest spice. Is really what it comes down to.
I don't think the Harkonnen see anybody as people,
Right. Correct. Yeah.
including their own
I don't
women.
even know. Yeah, I don't think they consider most Harkonnens to be people.
Yeah,
Truthfully.
dude, seriously. Yeah, which
We'll get there. Yeah.
we'll get to the Harkonnens for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah. What else in this first hour of the movie struck you guys?
I think for me, it was obviously, Paul and Lady Jessica, they are at in the encampment, right? And
The
siege, and they are. Lady Jessica's like, we have to get in here, and we have to spread the news that like you are the one, and he's like all like, no, like I'm not about that. Like he's fully against it. He is, but Lady Jessica has different plans, and she's like, I got to make myself important here, and then they do like a little transfer of power with.
Yeah, maybe she wanted that, but it sounded more like
she had to do it.
She had to do it.
Yeah.
Because Stilgar told her, like, you can do this, or we can return your water to.
That's true. That's right.
Right.
Yeah, I think up until like this point, like I was enjoying Lady Jessica as a character.
Me too.
Like, I felt like I could see what she was getting at, like at this point, and it was you could really tell that she understood like the political and the religious like connection of worlds so well, and she understood so much of the power of religion in general. That of what she could create, and I think she was like in this sense she understood that although she actually can fight pretty well and she can take care of herself pretty well, she understands that the way to make her and her son and her future daughter the safest is to push this narrative of him being the savior to where they become this they're put up on this pedestal to where no one would dare to tear them down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when she drinks the water of life.
Yes.
Life water.
Yes, and she gets visions, and like everything's unlocked for her, and there's a cool scene of like the fetus inside of her like getting the same exact eye-opening experience, which was crazy. And then
super crazy.
And then now the baby's just talking to her over and over again, like while she's walking around the halls. Like it was really weird.
Even the old Reverend Mother, she's like, "What have we done?
She's
pregnant." Like they didn't know.
Yeah.
So clearly, you're not supposed to do that.
No.
Because like this untrained fetus who's growing inside the mother now has this awakening.
Yeah.
Like it's such an interesting dynamic.
Oh yeah.
So,
big time. And so that now she's like embedded in like the religious aspect of it.
Can I pause real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I feel like this is where I would enjoy reading the books, maybe, because just knowing more about the Ben Gesserit, is that
Bene Gesserits?
Bene Gesserits, like I do want to know more. Like clearly they're powerful, clearly they got their hand in everything, but like they just seem so powerful.
Yeah,
you know?
So. Oh yeah, for sure. But then like so Lady Jessica's there, and that's what she's doing. But Paul, his main thing is like he doesn't want to be the chosen one, right? He just wants to initially get everyone on board to try to defeat the Baron, right?
Yes.
By learning the ways of the people, right? That's what that's all he cares about. And so he's trying to do his best to do whatever he can. So he's listening to what people are saying. He's observing what's around him, and then finally, like he's able to start proving himself.
Yeah.
And the Stilgar, I'm so glad we got way more Stilgar this movie.
Yeah.
Because Javier Bardem, phenomenal. He had so many great interactions with Paul in this movie, and a lot of it was like Paul winning him over, and Stilgar just believing the story, believing like the myth of the one because of the signs.
Yeah. There were so many moments that in this movie that, of course, it was this other movie probably pulled all these ideas from it, but like the Matrix, like especially the first Matrix, there were so many of these moments that were so like that were very parallel. Like the idea of like Stilgar's like Morpheus and Paul's Neo, even down to the point of Zendaya being Trinity. In a way,
Part of the prophecy.
Yep, part of the prophecy, and all these things are being built up, and you're seeing, these things kind of like. It's kind of like this, almost this idea of, is the prophecy coming true because it should come true, or is the prophecy coming true because it's being made to come true? Like, is it being forced by these moments happening in some ways? Like, and that's kind of the idea of like the Bene Gesserit. Like that's like the whole thing that I think they're really struggling with is like how much of this is the Bene Gesserit pushing this narrative and this idea through it, and I think that's the issue that Paul has is that with everything that they're doing, it's like you introduced this. Like, why you're acting like this is some weird miracle in some ways, but you guys are pushing the narrative, all these things to make them come true.
Yeah, the Bene Gesserit literally like manufactured it. Like if you think about it,
yes,
because thousands of years prior on Arrakis, the Bene Gesserit is the one who came and like left the information for the Messiah, like the scriptures, quote unquote, for them, and then over the 1,000 years or so, they people on Arrakis, they adopted that as the religion. And so they basically manufactured it.
They manufactured the religion on Arrakis.
Yeah, they manufactured the
whole
idea of the prophecy.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's one thing I thought about. So we watched this movie last night. We hung out afterwards. We talked about it, but I didn't have this thought until maybe this morning. So I acknowledge that the Bene Gesserit are powerful. They've created this belief system, I guess.
Yeah.
Centuries prior, whatever. Here's my question. So that's all fake to some extent.
I mean,
the thing is, it all comes down to this idea of whether they believe it's real or not.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it is manufactured on Arrakis. It's nothing but a lie from the Bene Gesserit. Like they formulated this belief system.
No, I think the Bene Gesserit believe that the prophecy is real, but they are manufacturing the bloodline to where if it wasn't this time, then there's another time.
Because that's what I'm trying to get at. Because that's what I'm trying to get at. Because there is still inexplainable Paul now after he had the water of life. He's got legit superpowers. At least he can know things that he shouldn't know. See futures. I think divide space and time is what they said in the first movie.
Yeah, they said you're able to I think see through space and
time. So
he was able to see his in his
future
bloodline.
And past.
So I'm not saying that it's all fake. It's just that the part that's on the planet of Arrakis, the Bene Gesserit set it into motion.
Yeah.
But he does have legit he's different.
Yes,
correct. That's obvious.
Yes, that is obvious.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, because what we learn later in the movie, it's he's manufactured to be different. He's created to be different. He's a part of many bloodlines coming together.
Yes.
So not by accident. It's all on purpose.
Yes.
That's what we learn.
Yeah, I think it's just there's this weird idea that's kind of set up behind everything is how much of it is just how much is the Bene Gesserit? Are they creating this prophecy by their actions, or was this prophecy set up and they are just fulfilling their role in this process? It's kind of this weird thing of are they driving it, or are they just a part of the system that is creating it?
Yeah, and I guess I still want to know what is the main purpose of it too? Why are they going to such great lengths to destroy this one house and to have Paul be who he is? And they've got other prospects too, but
which of course crazy because why would you want to? I mean, of course, from the way this story is told, who knows? Maybe from a different perspective, the Atreides family is not House Atreides isn't as well liked. Maybe by some of the other houses or something like that. But it seemed like they were almost too perfect in a way. They were so noble. They were so they always did the right thing.
Right.
They were it's kind of crazy that will be the house that you want to destroy.
As opposed to Harkonnen, who are wicked.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, really wicked.
Very bad people. Yeah.
And I guess it's a cool storytelling device because you have these two diametrically opposed forces in the Harkonnen and the Atreides, and they each it really just drives home the fact of how each one is so polarizing, because like when you see House Atreides and the way that Leto talked to Paul in the first one and like the relationship there.
Yeah.
And it's such a like positive, uplifting, familiar relationship. Like the idea of like, oh well, you'll still be everything that I ever wanted by being my son.
Yeah.
So you have that, and then you have essentially the Baron just talk and smack to his nephews all the time, like basically just threatening their lives. And then you get Fade in this one, who you literally like, oh, he killed his mother, like this, like
Yeah.
both of those
polar.
push each other to the extremes, where like if you saw one or the other, they'd be terrible or great. But with them having both, you get even further in the direction that they're leaning.
Yeah. I mean, this is probably a good time to start talking
Some
about the
yin and
Harkonnen
yang,
itself,
man.
right?
Some yin and yang.
You brought up Fade, and his introduction's really sweet, actually. The
Yes.
arena battle, or him prepping for the arena first.
That whole crazy.
There's a whole planet, the Harkonnen planet, is wild because of the
Just
the
black
sun.
and white.
But it's like when they're indoors and the light's not hitting them, it's fine. It's normal, right?
But outside,
normal,
it's such a
outside everything is gray, black
Yes.
and white. Like it's really cool visuals, like amazing visuals. But Fade, like he you see him, he's picking out like the knives, and
this is crazy.
just he like takes it and he like licks it right in front of the guy, and then
Yeah.
just swings it just because, and slices the throat of one of his servants. And his
Yeah.
attendants.
two of his
Oh, was it two?
yeah.
Okay, and then he heads out onto the arena.
We need a head count on how many like Harkonnen just
Get knocked off for no
died.
reason.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
no
Like
reason.
Rabba just destroys that one at the beginning where he just like smashes his head on the console.
Yep.
And then there's another one later on that that they just like he's like arguing with him, and he just like
Yep,
just like knocks him off.
Yep.
So there's at least those, and then there's it's just crazy. And then I think even when he shows up, immediately he knocks off, or that might be that same one that he knocks off.
It might be. I think
He might slice him, and then yeah,
the Harkonnen, they're just psychos. Like the Baron, we hear him like brutally murdering some women behind this door before Rabin walks in, Batista's character.
Yeah.
And then you walk in and you see just these women dead
in the corner.
No explanation why.
which I think they were the same women that were helping heal him from the first movie.
Yeah, it's just they have the Harkonnen have zero respect for their own women. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the one that was like, not that it was. It's only funny because it was just so. It felt like it was out of like a skit, out of like a parody.
Yeah.
But like the one you're just talking about, Amato, where it's like. Fade's like talking like strategy, and this one guy just I don't even know if he disagrees. He's just like, you might want to consider this a slit throat. Just game over.
Yeah, like
Just
why bother?
Doesn't even look. Just to his right. Just cuts his throat. I'm just
Why be counsels to the Harkonnen? Like, there's no point. There's 0 point being there.
Which also kind of like throws out this idea of like, so if they act this way towards their women, then why are the Bene Gesserit even like remotely trying to work with these people?
Right,
Like, why wouldn't they be undermining this house?
I know. Yes.
Which, we start to uncover, like, the Harkonnen, the Reverend Mother to the Emperor, it persuaded him to help the Harkonnen take care of House Atreides. Like, that's
yes,
that's what's wild. Why?
Which
Why
seems
the
kind of
Harkonnen?
crazy. The reasoning that I can see is it was them seeing what Paul was, and the idea was Paul can't reach his full potential if he is the Duke, and I think they needed to push him out into.
But isn't the Reverend Mother, like, she doesn't believe that Paul's the one because he was not supposed to be.
He wasn't. A male heir was not. A male was not supposed to be.
I think Lady Jessica was even like, "See, don't you believe now?" Like that kind of thing. Like she even threw it in her face. So, I don't know. I think she still doesn't believe that he's the one, and so that's why they're putting all these safe holds in place with Fade's potential child.
Or maybe it was the opposite. Maybe it was like literally she was like, well, Lady Jessica, you brought this on House Atreides.
So
like maybe she was wanting everything to be Or maybe
you
she
know
was
what?
doubling
That's a
down.
really good point.
Maybe she was doubling down. Either side was a win for her in a way. With the Reverend Mother, she was like, one of two things is going to happen. Either we're going to destroy this male that you brought into this world and punish you in a way, or we're going to push this male heir out into the world of the Fremen in Arrakis, and he's going to fulfill the prophecy. Like, so it's almost like a win for either way for her. Either we'll eliminate this, abomination in her mind, or we fulfill the prophecy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they specifically told the Gesserit, the Bene Gesserit, they specifically told Lady Jessica to provide a female, right?
Yes.
And so, I mean, essentially, aren't they just trying to, like, if she did produce a female, right, from the House Atreides, wouldn't it make sense for Fade, who is from the Harkonnen, like, they would want Fade and then the female Atreides to then be the pair to then produce the Messiah from that bloodline? Like, it would be Fade and then Atreides. That's something that the Bene Gesserit would try to manufacture, try to do. That's wild. And that's all this, like, house political stuff. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
And like, let's talk about these prospects. How many times did you hear the main witch lady? Whenever her name is, the older.
Yeah, it's
Bene Gesserit.
Mohaim.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mohaim.
Yeah.
Okay, Mohaim.
I'm sure I'm pronouncing it right.
Sure.
But yeah.
But anyways, how many times did you see her talk about prospects? We've got prospects.
Yeah. That's
It's
right.
like a football recruiter,
Yeah, like Fade literally, after he wins the arena, he gets seduced by one of the Bene Gesserit.
Yep.
She puts him to the test, and then then obviously she seduces him, and now she's carrying a
His
female.
child.
Yeah.
His daughter.
Yeah.
And then, so you got that, and then were there other prospects we know about?
They just speak of them, but they don't actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like almost like this constant, never-ending process of like mixing and matching bloodlines. Like, this is gonna sound kind of crude, but it's almost like a person who, like a dog breeder. They're always constantly like mixing and matching. Like, how can we make these things
breed,
like
that is
perfect
interesting.
breed?
Yeah.
Mix these. We like the traits of this, but can we mix it with the traits of this and make some? Like, I feel like that's almost how they think of these children that they are creating, not even as human beings, but literally just these. And I think that's why they call them something like prospects, because they're not really even like. They're not humans to them. They are the answer to the question more than they are actual living, breathing beings.
Yeah. And so, like, all that's going on in the background while Paul is over here learning the ways, but he's actually, like, excelling at all of these tests that are being thrown at him.
He's crushing it.
He's literally crushing it. And he won over. I mentioned earlier, he won over Stilgar, and Stilgar is like a full believer. And he had one moment that was like pretty incredible where Paul turns down, like, he's like, I'm not the Messiah, like, stop trying to think I am.
This is amazing.
And then Stilgar immediately goes like running back to his people, like, he's so humble. He's a humble, like,
He must be the Mahdi.
Yeah, as it's written, he's so humble. Like,
Yes.
and then anytime Paul goes
Dude.
against the grain, it's like
That had to be the
as
funniest.
written.
That had it as written. Yeah, that had to be the funniest scene in both movies.
Yeah.
Which made me think, and I mentioned this to you last night, Justin. But there's like no amount of. Do you remember any like humor or comedic moments in the first movie?
I mean, I think it's hard to think about the possibility of any.
Maybe some of Duncan's interactions with Paul, like when he's making fun of him a little bit.
Yeah.
But like there was like that, but that moment that we're talking about where Stilgar was like, he's so humble.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was clear. Like
Laugh
there's-
out loud, yeah.
They were trying to get like a really good beat for comedy.
Well, it's like, and it's just interesting because it's really showing like how infuriating, like, and how sometimes insidious, like, belief can be, like, for certain things. Like this idea of
blinding, really.
Yeah, blinding. Yeah, it's literally like it's blinding. It's like this idea of like it doesn't matter. It no matter matters what he does or what he says.
We'll find a way to twist it.
Yes, it's twisted to being the truth or a sign.
And that's exactly what Chani's character and her fellow
Friends.
Northerners,
Yes,
who are like definitely
More
not
cynical.
Yes,
Yes.
very much more cynical. Yeah.
They believe in like protecting themselves, like they're not looking for hope in somebody else, in a savior. They are like, we can protect our own people,
or
that kind of
at the
thing.
very least, I don't know. They feel like Fremen should be in control of
their own
Arrakis.
destiny.
Yeah. Which makes Shawnee so much more interesting because she believes all that, but she's also the one who's like literally sleeping with Paul, like falling in love with him.
Yeah, which like Shawnee Zendaya's character, she, her interaction with Paul, like Paul is a dead set, like I'm not the guy.
Yeah.
As he's performing things that he shouldn't be performing,
he's opening up to her how he doesn't want any of this.
Right, exactly. And this is like the whole first half of the movie is like she's falling in love with this guy because he doesn't want something that everyone is trying to give him, and she sees strength in that, right?
Right.
And they work very well together as a team, which we get their cool interaction where they are interrupting the very first spice harvester.
Yeah.
And he's loading her rocket launcher and she's blowing up stuff. That whole sequence was absolutely phenomenal.
Incredible.
And they're successful, and that leads like kind of like a quote unquote montage of successes that they have, where you see Paul growing, leading up into the culmination of him learning how to ride the sandworm, which that scene was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
I will say, like in the scene where they take down the Thopter, so it's interesting because even when they tell the story, they leave out, and it's kind of showing the way he's perceived and things like that. They leave out the fact that he failed her initially.
Oh yeah,
because he went off to fight the two Harkonnens and
left her
almost defenseless, and she had to turn around and waste a round on one of the Harkonnens.
Yeah.
Instead of taking out the Thopter originally. And yes, but all they talked about was the fact that he saved her at one point and they took it out. Like, they don't ever mention the fact that she doesn't even bring it up to the fact that she ended up having to waste a round on this Harkonnen because he wasn't able to take them both out as he should have been able to, probably.
Yeah, that was a cool scene, and that was just him showing his worthiness. Actually, that was the scene that led to where Stilgar's bragging about him, and he gets his name.
Oh yeah,
which was cool. Which I don't remember what it was, but it was
Usul.
Well, Usul, but
there was Usul, but there was the other name.
There's the other name that was essentially the desert rat.
Wahid? Was that it?
I don't know, dude. I don't know, man.
Yes.
If we had closed captions on, I could have read it more.
We're non-book readers. I know, Shimano, you're starting to now, but we would have known that if we read the books.
Yeah.
But, anyway, the kangaroo mouse, basically.
Kangaroo mouse, yeah. But essentially, like, the whole first hour plus. So again, first hour is just him, like, learning the ways. Then we cut to the Harkonnen. But then we come and we get a whole long stint of, which we talked about that, I think, at length already. Visually, those scenes were stunning.
Yes,
on their prime, and their Glidel Prime or Guidel Prime, whatever.
You got that.
Guidel.
Yeah.
Okay. But then we come back to Arrakis. His mom has gone south. She's on a missionary tour.
Yeah, she really is. Yeah.
Dude, let's talk about that moment when she's breaking the fourth wall. Ooh. It feels like she wasn't, but it felt like it.
Yeah, she's like she's empowered,
still some
awakened.
doubters.
She's talking to
her daughter.
Her fetus daughter. Yeah.
Yes.
And she's like, well, in order to ensure Paul's success, we have to convert everybody into believers, and we need to start with like the weakest of them.
Yes.
And as she's staring down a family, a bunch of little children,
like cowering in the corner.
Cowering in the corner.
I think that was the moment where you were like, "Oh, Lady Jessica is like,
she
ain't right. She isn't playing around right now. Like, there is something with her."
But you initially see the children and the mom briefly. And then the camera just goes and pans on her, and it stays lingering on her.
Yes.
And she's just staring down. Now, at this point, I feel like the audience.
Yeah. Like she is looking in the direction that they were.
Yeah.
But if the camera stays so long where it's like, I think she's talking to us.
Yes. She's kind of trying to drive home that like, you will believe too.
Yeah, correct.
Like,
right.
You know.
Yeah. We, the audience, were the weak ones who need to believe in Paul.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was after that scene where we see Paul go on this like long like developmental journey, and then we come back to meet Lady Jessica. She has like hundreds of believers around her.
Yeah.
And like they're getting ready to head south. Like that's Like
Yeah.
she did some work. Like she was
Yep.
boots to the ground, converting people, that
Yep.
kind of thing.
So they go south. Trying to think.
To which Paul's having visions that's warning him not to go south.
Correct.
Yes.
And he's doing everything in his power not to go south because his vision saw him with power and billions of lives in his
Yes.
in his hands.
In his wake.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, do you think, because initially he says he's following a woman, do you think at that moment he just does not want to admit that it's his mother, or do you think he does not know that it's his
I think
mother?
he didn't know.
I
think
he didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
We knew. I
Yes.
think it was pretty
Yeah.
obvious
Yes.
who it was at that point.
But I do think, like, in a way, like, there's a possibility, like, maybe he just didn't want to admit that that was his mother.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you don't want to admit that your mother is capable of being that force, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but on Lady Jessica's way down to the south, like she stops by a temple to we learn how the water of life is
Extracted.
and
Super
we see
disturbing as well.
baby sandworms, and then we see somebody just completely
Drown a
drown
sandworm.
a baby sandworm, which, I mean, I still kind of fell for that baby sandworm.
Yeah,
man. I
of
was
course.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you see it extracted, and then she gives the direction of a man is going to come, and he's going to you need to let him try it, or
Yeah.
whatever. And then she attempts to mouth off and be like, "No, man can't survive." And then she uses the voice.
Do it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then she leaves, and so that was setting up for, which I believe is a very, very pivotal point for Paul's character.
Yeah.
I believe.
But before we get there,
Yeah.
let's talk about the only reason he goes south. He doesn't want to.
Right.
Nope.
The Harkonnens force his hand.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
they
take out siege.
they take out the
Tabor,
siege.
I think it's the. I think that's the name of the siege.
Yeah, I guess so. Which, and you know, it's like, it's not shocking that they know where these places are to me because
Look for the rocks.
Yeah.
look for the rocks, and all the scenes with Raven earlier, like, they've got this technology where they've got like this perspective over the planet where like they see where things are happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So, but
I think part of it's that they, like, our current, like, real life modern technology is actually like ancient for them, and that's the technology that they're using. That's how they originally defeated House Atreides. I think they're using this quote unquote ancient technology instead of the laser guns and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why that they're getting like this. They're able to do some of this stuff is that you're almost seeing like this ingenuity on the Harkonnen, like their house's ingenuity in some ways in their ability to murder things.
Yeah.
You know, to where because who knows if a laser gun would have been able to do the damage that, you know, that the so-called primitive technology that they were using at that point was able to do.
Right.
you know, it's dawning on me now, but really Batista, so Raven, really everything is his fault.
Yeah.
Now I think about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
first of all, he doesn't pursue, like, he just chalks it up, I think, in the first movie, as Paul and his mom are dead.
Yeah, he just wants to assume that they're dead.
Because they go through a crazy sandstorm that nobody could survive.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then
Is the Baron more crazy for believing it, or
No. The Baron very specifically is like, he essentially says, "I don't believe it unless I see a body."
but in the first movie, he's like, so it's done then. What a relief. Like, he says that.
he says
Oh,
that.
okay.
The Baron comes around and believes that.
Okay.
And I think the point I'm trying to make is when the Emperor shows up, this is getting ahead of ourselves, but like the Emperor is exposing, like, you guys,
Messed up.
underestimated these Fremen.
Yeah.
Do you know what's happening in the South? They're like, nobody could survive. It's like, oh, really? Well, it's in
Well,
Have
There's
you
life there.
have you
Well, it's
investigated?
happening.
Was it the Mohadid? Is that what it is, or am I saying that right? Or
Yeah,
no?
well, that's the name of, like, that's another name for Paul.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I figured.
Kind of like Jesus, like Messiah, like there's all
Right.
these different names.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's obviously, like, that's kind of what
That's
they're going
the
with here.
Like
Also a little different.
the Emperor's like, did you guys investigate who the Mohadid is? Like,
Yeah,
that kind
like,
of thing.
but again, they just the Harkonnen underestimate the Fremen. They show no
Some
respect
rat
to them.
as like
Yeah, they don't care. And it's like, oh, and by the way, that's Paul Atreides.
Yeah.
You guys let Paul Atreides get away, and now he's leading like a revolution.
Yeah.
So, but
And I think one of the
Go ahead.
craziest things is just like the technology. Like, if they took like 5 seconds to actually look at the technology that the Fremen were using,
yes,
you have to be like,
where they.
There's more to this.
Yeah.
Like just the thumper.
The
like
thumper.
just
How many
by
thumpers
its,
they got, dude? How do you make them in the ground?
and then just like the idea
still
of
suits.
you've seen a still suit. It's way better than whatever you're using.
Oh, I don't know what the
Yeah.
heck
Like-
clunky air conditioned thing is.
yeah,
Yes.
dude. They just
And
crack
it's-
the face
Dude,
mask.
it's
and
a
over.
it's like a window air conditioning unit. That's literally
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, it's just like this crazy like idea. Like they just can't see past their own like
The pride.
yeah, their own pride. They can't see past their own like their own discrimination
Yeah.
towards the Fremen to
Yeah.
see that they're
They can't believe that the Fremen could
yeah
be so aware and
yeah
empowered.
yes
So, anyways, Fade's in charge now, and he humiliates his cousin or brother.
Brother, I think it's his
Sorry,
brother.
brother. Yeah. By the way, this whole movie is just Batista walking into rooms or scenes, looking around the space and being confused.
Or getting crapped on.
Or
Like,
yeah, just
yeah.
poor Batista. Or
Yeah.
just like getting killed by Thanos like within like 10 seconds. Sorry, Josh.
After
Brolin.
running away. Like
Yeah,
Yes.
Gurney.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, after running away. But anyways, Batista gets humiliated. Fade, they take out the Siege. Fade basically reestablishes the spice. Like all they care about is being profitable.
Yes,
Yes.
correct. Yeah.
That's all. And that's essentially what causes the mass exodus of the Fremen
Yeah,
south.
to the south.
yeah
But at first Paul's not going.
yeah no
What made him go? Wasn't it actually like
it was that, but it was also I think it was a combination of the siege getting attacked, and they were basically like, no one else will go south unless you go south.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this idea of like he sees what happens to a siege in the north, so
Yes.
he knows the best thing for the overall Fremen is to move south.
right? But he doesn't want to go.
But he doesn't want to go. but he understands that if he doesn't go south, he's putting everyone else in danger because they will not go unless he goes.
Yeah, and that's essentially what Shawnee is the one who convinces him to go.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And is this where the vision with Jameis comes as well?
Yeah, because Jameis is telling him.
Jameis? I don't know if it's
Yeah. He's telling him like he needs to go and like seek more information.
Yeah.
Where he goes to the temple.
So Paul, that's right. So Paul essentially gets convinced to go. And he goes literally right to the temple. They didn't waste
Yep.
any time, by
Yeah.
the
Yep.
way. I'm assuming a lot of time goes by.
Well, it looked like he veered off. Like it looked like they were all heading south, and it looked like Paul veered off to the left. is
It
what
did
looked like.
because people
Oh,
didn't show
yeah.
up until
a
later.
little
to
bit
the
later,
temple.
yeah, because
Yeah.
it looked like
That's true.
Chani
Yeah.
had to like do a U-turn or something. To
Yeah.
go
and
after
also
him.
she did, and also I was like, this movie both these movies are so good with detail, and I'm not saying they had to do this because they were still great movies, but I kept thinking like, are they going to show us like a scene of them jumping off of a sandworm? Because they're moving
Yeah,
so
how
fast,
to get
they're
off,
huge. How
yeah.
do they get off?
yeah,
Yeah.
But they did. But it's okay.
I do think that one interesting symbolic thing that did happen right before they went south is Shawnee's friend, who was probably the most cynical person in the entire group,
question Paul from the get-go.
ends up being the person who stays behind, like to essentially like she's the rear guard, which is in that moment would be like
they called her
the-
a spy. is what They called her, but
Yes.
yeah, but
I mean,
Why did she stay behind?
I think she was just literally like one of the, like I said, she's essentially like a rear guard to like help defend their retreat, essentially. So like she is putting her
Buy them time as they travel south.
essentially she's basically
Yeah, they
took the
questioned her,
place.
so.
She took the place of what Paul was wanting to do. Because remember, Paul was
Right,
wanting to stay
yeah.
behind. He's like, I'll buy you time, essentially.
Right,
And then
right.
she takes this place of a position where it's essentially a suicide mission. And it's kind of like
Yeah.
interesting seeing the person who was, it's kind of like showing the entire idea of what the Fremen are at, and that
Yeah.
it's all flipped. Because she was the most cynical one, and she put herself in a situation where she knew she was going to die for this situation.
Yeah.
there you
That's right. Okay, so let's talk about this moment. Paul finally gets to the temple. He drinks the
pivotal point. in this-
Yes.
the character.
yeah.
Yeah.
Drinks the water of life and goes into a trance essentially.
Yeah.
And we hear the voice of his sister.
Yep.
Yes.
And he actually gets like this is where he sees his sister too.
sees-
Yeah,
his
he sees
sister.
his sister
Alia.
grown up.
Alia is her
is
name.
that her name?
I believe so. Yeah.
And what's the actress name again?
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah,
Yes.
Anya
Yeah.
Taylor-Joy. Which did you guys know she was in this?
I mean, she was doing all these red carpet things, so I thought she was going to be a more prominent character. But literally, this is the only,
I mean,
It is
only
prominent.
scene. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
prominent, but this is literally the only scene.
The only scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, you literally
I guess
one
they're
head
just building
turn.
up. Well, it's sort of like the first Dune, where like Zendaya has like
Oh, yeah.
it
That's
has
actually 10
almost
minutes.
like
10 minutes, yeah.
like you're expecting her to be
all throughout it.
all yeah.
Where like when that's right. Where like when you're watching it, the movie's the first one's so long that you're like when she shows up, you're like, oh yeah.
That's right. But yeah,
But she says, sorry,
she's there. Yeah,
she's
so
there.
full grown up.
And she says essentially, I'm not going to get it word for word, but she's like, it's time for you to know the truth about our family, something like that.
Yeah, the bloodline.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then she unlocks the mind, and she unlocks the mind of Paul, and you see that Lady Jessica is actually the Baron Harkonnen's daughter.
Yes.
And which he then confronts her later on, and she's like, "I had no idea until I drank the water myself."
Yes.
But so
Right.
therefore, that would make Paul a portion of Harkonnen and Atreides.
Yes.
which is wild.
Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely wild. And so, which we actually get Paul later on being like, "Oh, hey, grandfather!" Like,
Yes.
Yeah, right before he kills the
Ooh,
bear.
yeah, that's
that's such a good scene, man.
Oh, so good.
But yeah, but he's in a trance still. That's where he's at. He drinks his water, and
they think he's dead.
yeah, they think he's dead.
Yes.
But earlier on, we get a scene between Shawnee and Paul, and he asks her what her name is, and she says, "Oh, it means desert spring," whatever her name is.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, that's lovely." She's like, "I don't, because it's part of like the prophecy or whatever." And then she stops.
But yeah,
We
they
don't
doesn't
mention-
say anything
Doesn't say
else.
anything of that at all. But then, like, she comes running in late, and then they say the prophecy where. The tears of the or the tears of the desert spring will awaken like the Messiah or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And that's literally what happens. But she's forced to do it. Like,
Yeah.
they use the voice to make her do it. Which this is why I believe she still hasn't yet to fulfill her prophecy. I think it's still to come.
yeah. Maybe it has to be willingly.
Oh, so
or
Lady
like,
Jessica told her to do it.
Yeah, she's like, just
right.
do it, and then she did it. Like,
Yeah.
she
I forgot. I thought she obviously did it because she loves him.
Nope.
Oh wow, good catch, man. I
Yeah.
didn't really catch that.
So she does. She cries and she wipes it, mixes it with the life water and dips it
Yep.
in his mouth, and he wakes it right up.
Yeah. Well, we should also like we'd already seen like earlier like it would have been very against her character to cry in that moment because
Correct,
they
yeah.
kind of driven home the idea of how they feel about water, of course,
correct.
and like the way they looked at Lady Jessica earlier in the movies when she cried, and then when she was vomiting when she was pregnant, like so both of those things were.
Yeah.
The scene is almost like revolting acts. Like the idea of crying for a Fremen is like
Yeah.
is seen as such a
Don't give them your water. Like,
yes.
Yep. Don't give anyone your water. Yeah. So and then Paul awakens, literally like from the perspective of everyone in the room. Again, just like Jesus, like raises from the dead.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So like they're
Although I don't
freaking
think
out.
he's like Lady Jessica states that he
not
isn't
dead,
dead.
yeah.
He's just it's his life signs are imperceptible to.
But my
you.
point is, for the people that didn't hear her say that,
Yeah.
he's dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Right.
in everyone's mind.
Yeah.
He's dead. And in the prophecy, they probably perceive it as he's dead. He
Yeah.
needs this to happen. When this happens, he comes back to life.
Correct. Yeah. So the prophecy is basically fulfilled at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Paul, like, he literally he awakens, and he's like, I can see everything now. Like,
And you could tell he's different.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Okay,
yes,
let's talk about
yeah,
character
yeah.
change real
Okay,
quick. Okay,
yeah, I'm excited
because
about this.
there's two major ones in this as far as character change. One,
Yes.
one I believe made me dislike the character, and then the other one it made me really like the character.
Yeah.
And so, Lady Jessica, she has a massive character change
Yes.
in this, and I really was not a fan of her character by the end of this. Not because it was like it was a bad performance, but just because of the way that she was portrayed, like
Yes.
portraying that character.
Yeah, the way she was
You were
driving
meant
everything
you
else.
were meant not to like that character.
Yes, but it's also but it's also great seeing her go through it first, and then it almost foreshadows his
correct what he could potentially
Yes,
be,
yes.
that kind of thing. But then his character changed. Like, so he's a majority of the movie now. We're all like 3/4 of the movie.
Yeah.
He is against not being the Messiah. He's like, I'm not him. I'm not him. And then all of a sudden he drinks all this stuff. He says that he's seen many futures, and it's kind of like Doctor Strange.
Strange.
Yes,
It's Doctor Strange all over again, right? He's seen all paths, but only one is the one that can save everybody, and he even does like this weird little thing with his hand, and then he like makes it straight, like when he realizes what he
there's
needs
one
to do.
narrow
Yeah.
path.
And he said it's a very narrow path. That's what
Yeah,
he says,
yeah.
and he immediately embraces the whole Messiah aspect, and Stilgar even says, "Hey, when we go south, we're gonna have a council of war tribes, and
Yeah.
you have to kill me in order to speak." Well, when he gets there,
Oh, dude, I love this scene.
oh my gosh, this
Yeah.
scene is absolutely incredible. He immediately just like
Disregards.
interrupts, disregards their whole ceremony, and was
Yes.
like immediately starts yelling like, "I am the one, like I'm the Messiah." Like,
Well, and I love what he said where, like, some other elder tries to correct him
Yeah.
about you have to kill Stilgar. Stilgar's, like, giving him his sword.
right,
And he said, you think I'm stupid enough to waste one of our
best,
best over some – I don't even know what he said next, but just –
Yeah.
and then just he goes into this amazing monologue.
yeah,
Yes.
and none of you.
He basically challenges everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone stands up like they're going to do
You
something.
think you can actually do something?
Yes.
Anybody here thinks they can actually do something with me, and they all
Yes.
stand up and draw their knives, every single one of them.
Yeah.
And then he literally goes like Bible on him.
He picks one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tells him his whole life story, and he immediately drops to his knees and he starts worshiping,
Yes.
which therefore leads everybody to
do it.
And then he does it again on the older guy
Yes.
who doubted him.
Yeah.
And then everybody's down except for Zendaya. Zendaya's the
Yes.
only one standing.
Gurney has to pull her down.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting moment where, like, I think like everyone does it out of belief except for Gurney and Zendaya.
Yeah.
I think Gurney does it because he understands what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
and Zendaya only does it because Gurney pulls her down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of you said it last night, but there's gonna be a moment in the next movie where like they're either teaming up or there's gonna be some crazy interactions between those two.
Yeah,
because like they're kind of they're so close to Paul.
Yes.
And they
They
can
know who he really
They
is.
know who he
Yes.
really is. Yeah. So, anyways, but yeah, this scene's amazing.
so-
and he takes out his father's ring
That's right.
in
He
this
does.
in this moment. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm actually Paul Atreides, and so he's like
Well, he had to get the Fremen under his banner. Like,
Yeah.
he had to make the push.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Then they all
Yes.
start carrying the shield flag. That definitely was
Yes.
Agents of
shield
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
flag. You
yeah.
noticed that, right? Like,
Yeah.
by the way, okay, not like a plot hole per se, but where Gurney's like, I know your father hid the atomic arsenal,
Yeah.
Yes.
and it's like conveniently on Arrakis. I'm like,
Well,
how,
they brought it
when?
with. Well,
that
they brought
makes
it with
sense.
them when they
brought it with them.
relocated. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but still, like, it just feels like something that takes a long time to do something like that. But
I mean, yeah, that was pretty
and
intricate.
it's hidden. No one
intricate
knows
safe
about it.
vault
Yeah,
kind of
it's
thing.
okay. We'll
yeah.
let it pass. We'll let it pass.
Yeah. I get it.
Well, I mean, it literally, the way they make it seem and the way that it went, they, like, cleared out Caledon. Like, they were, like, all in on Arrakis. So
Yeah.
there'd be no point on leaving your arsenal on Caledon.
Correct. Yeah.
I think there's still some story to be told on Caledon because Gurney mentions he got negotiated for some people to get off world.
There's
Yeah.
gonna be a story, and it's like Paul's gonna literally regroup with the Fremen on like Caledon. I feel like
Yeah.
in order to take on.
Something's gonna happen.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Okay, so, anyways, like at this point, Paul is the height of his like
Power.
power.
Which he was adamantly against the entire movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's clearly the special drink he had.
So in my eyes here, this is where we're at. Okay, like Paul was 100% like the good side, light side, moving like
Yeah.
majority of the first movie, all the first movie, and a majority of the second movie. And I made a statement last night. I'm going to make the statement again. Okay?
Okay.
I feel like Dune right here. Okay, Dune they chose to do something right now that Star Wars were too much of cowards to do. And that, as of right now, where we're at in the movies.
From my
perspective, yes, my perspective.
If you're right, then
Right.
if what you believe is true, then yes, yeah.
Like, whereas Paul, I feel like, has transitioned to the dark side. Whereas Star Wars, you had an opportunity. Like, Kylo transitioned from dark side to the light side, right?
Yeah. But going from good to bad.
Yes,
is-
but going from good to bad, they had an opportunity to have Rey go from good to bad in Star Wars.
yeah.
Like, you were kind of like, will she, won't she? But she
Yeah.
never really came close enough to make
Yeah.
that full decision. They should have done it because it would have been like poetry,
Yeah.
the swapping of the
Yes.
sides.
Yeah.
And I feel like here, Paul is fully diving into that whole the dark aspect.
He's gone Anakin.
Yeah, he's on Anakin right now. He's not quite Vader. He's like
yeah. He's not quite Vader. You're right.
He's not
Anakin
yet hit the
on
temple.
Mustafar right now. He is. Well, I think he's Anakin on Mustafar right now. Like he's getting ready to turn. Like he's,
It was
he's
pre or
by
post
the end
killing
of the movie,
children.
Post killing children. I think he's like.
Oh yeah.
Where the movie ends. Where the movie ends. That's where he's at. I feel like.
Because you did make another shocking statement last.
Well,
night.
We'll get, I think we'll get there too.
Okay,
but we'll get there with what we think is coming up next.
All right. So before this epic war goes down, so now Paul's got all the Fremen. He's got the atomic
challenge
arsenal.
the Emperor.
Well,
Yes.
the Emperor is on his way. Did he?
No, he uses his ring signet to send a message.
That's right.
Yes.
He does. Yep.
Which we need to mention here. Okay, throughout the entirety of the thing,
Proof that
the Emperor, the Emperor and the Princess, they're kind of talking political stuff throughout the entirety of the movie.
They don't know that Atreides is alive.
Right, correct.
No.
Until
Paul's
they
alive.
receive the signet.
Yeah.
And so then finally,
Well, I think Princess Erlon believes it, but just knows that they're not supposed to.
yeah. Well,
speak it.
she told the Reverend Mother, and she was
Yes.
like, "You can't speak of that word
Yes.
at all."
Right. But now the Emperor finds out, and this is why the Emperor shows up just pissed at the Harkonnen.
Yep. And that's why he's questioning Baron. And
Baron's on his knees.
Yes.
So the most scary, powerful figure in this whole universe so far has been the Baron Harkonnen.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
yeah.
And he gets on his knees. Amato said last night that he got neutered.
Yes.
Which basically is what happened.
Yeah.
Dude, his life support system
His
just
life
gets
support-
like sliced.
Which allows him to like levitate.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Such a freaking weird, scary, powerful character.
Yes.
And then while they're having this like accountability meeting,
Basically,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, this is when Paul strikes.
Yes. Paul.
The Fremen on the sandworm, they're all riding in.
So cool, dude.
Like,
The battle scenes,
This,
epic.
the battle scene, all this is incredible. Anything you guys want to say about the war before we get into what happens?
I mean, the Fremen really just destroy. Like they really
Yeah.
just come in like a wave
Yeah.
and just take out all of them, like all of the Harkonnen.
Yep.
It's pretty incredible, actually.
yeah, so good. So, and then essentially, like the Emperor's guards surround like the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care about any of the Harkonnen, like the
No.
Baron or Fade or
No.
Raven, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Paul walks in, just straight up kills
Yes.
the Baron.
Yeah.
Says, "What's up, Grandpa?"
Cuts them.
So that's such a it's so cool because he's like, he says it just long enough for like it's like kind of like
Setting in.
set to be in his mind.
Like, that's his
but
last
not-
thought.
But
Is it real? And then, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's gone. And like it's one of those things. It's like it's between them, but no one will ever know more than that unless he wants someone to know more.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
And then
kills.
you have all the players in one room right now.
Everyone.
At this point, all players, all cards, they're all
Literally
there.
anyone you've ever seen
Yeah.
is in this room
They're
right
all
now.
in the room.
Yep. And the Emperor is just like, yeah, like, well, actually, because everyone's showing up. Well, no, he takes them all prisoner. And then he has Gurney say, bring him out. Then they all come out, and the other great houses are showing up. And the Emperor thinks he's about to get bailed out.
Right. Correct.
And then Paul's like, what makes you think they're here for me? Which I love that.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because they are only there, the great houses are there because of Baron's contingency.
That's right.
Yes.
He's the one who sent word to all them, letting them know that
What the Emperor did.
what the Emperor did. Yeah, so that only happened because of the Baron, which is actually kind of cool that he caused that.
And so Paul's like, "Hey, let them know. Like, let the other houses know. Like, to hold up a second. Like, we got some stuff that we're dealing with. Like, sit
Yeah,
tight.
if
Sit
any
tight.
of them make any approach,
Yeah.
we have our entire atomic arsenal aimed
Yeah.
at the spice fields.
Yeah, I think they said they're like centuries of atomic weapons.
Yes.
aimed at the spice field.
And everyone
Yes.
thinks he's crazy.
Yeah, correct.
Yep.
'Cause-
And he is.
Yeah, because I believe they used 2 or 3 missiles
Yeah,
to
on
make,
the-
make,
I think it was
just
make
3.
their entrance.
Yes.
Yeah. But they had like 92 or something like that.
Yes.
Like they mentioned 92.
Yes.
Yeah. But so yeah, they're all sitting tight, and now this political game starts
Yes.
on the inside of this hall or whatever, and the Emperor is challenged for his the seat,
Yes.
the Emperor's
Yeah.
seat, and he says
little trial by combat.
No, did they say
essentially.
choose your champion or who's your champion?
That's what Paul says. Who's your champion?
Okay, and then immediately, without
Fade,
missing a
yeah.
beat, Fade's like, "Give me a knife." Like he's ready.
He says, "I'm here, Atreides."
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Which Austin Butler was so good in this movie.
Sadistic but good. Yeah.
Yeah, you know he had to get to a dark place to kind of play that character.
And here's the thing: shout out to Villanueva. That's the director, right?
Villeneuve. Yeah,
Villeneuve. Sorry.
Yep.
Flat out, just like I know that I'm always tricked in movies, but I was like, I never know what's coming next. And in this battle, for great hand-to-hand combat,
Great hand-to-hand
and
combat.
dude, I am convinced for about a good 10, 20 seconds, maybe longer,
Fade wins.
that Fade wins and Paul's about to die. And in my head, I'm thinking, where the bleep are we going from here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the symmetry about that scene.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
I know what you're going with.
Like Fade and Paul are in this scene together where Fade has won, right? Essentially.
Yeah.
Same thing. Flashback. Movie 1.
Yep.
Gurney.
The
Gurney
training session between
is
Gurney.
training Fade.
Yes.
Or not Fade. He's training Paul.
Yes.
Right.
And the exact same thing happened. Is like, you think you won, but look here I am with my dagger down here. With
Yes.
a more
It's a callback.
yeah,
Yep.
callback, and it's good that Paul learned a lesson because
Yes.
he ended up winning, and he pulls out a knife from his shoulder, and then he has a knife in his rib cage basically, and he fades down, believed to be dead. I don't know for sure. Maybe.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. Okay.
He did.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Third movie. You never know.
Yeah, well, you haven't been right about any of these calls.
No,
yet,
I
so-
haven't been. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So anyway, he goes to the Emperor, and he's getting ready to kill him, and this is where the princess is like, I'll take your hand willingly if you
spare his life.
Yes.
And so now, like, Chani is in the background,
Just
furious.
Which, well, before she said that, he also
He said, "I'll take
your daughter's hand and do
Which,
something.
Yeah, like partially furious, but I felt it was almost like this idea of like almost like she was about to vomit.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how I felt.
She
Like
still loved him.
Yes.
But, like, she knows that he's on, like, on a dark path right now.
yes,
But he did say, no matter what happens, know that I always love
yes.
you.
Yeah.
It was almost like he was almost trying to pull the same card that the Duke was playing in the first movie, where he's distancing himself from Lady Jessica because there's a lot of intrigue in the first one where they're thinking Lady Jessica is actually a spy,
Right.
for the Harkonnens or something like that, which in a way she almost kind of is because she's
Bene Gesserit, yeah.
yeah, because she's a Bene Gesserit and she's literally a Harkonnen,
Right, correct.
But we don't know that at that point. But I do think it's almost like they're trying to he's trying to pull that same thing where like he's keeping her in the dark / letting you like I will always love you type of situation, but
Yeah. But
doing
also,
something different.
But also, I feel like he's saying, like, just know this, like, I'll always love you, but also having the foresight, mind awakened, whatever, potentially a Doctor Strange moment where he's going down this path, knowing that it's the only path, and that sacrifices have to be made.
He might have to let her go.
You might have to let her go, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And Lady Jessica told him that, like, earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
He needs to save himself for a more important,
Match.
match.
Yeah.
I think they literally just call it a match, which is such a like
Which you get Florence Pugh, so it's like, that's
Yeah.
pretty good, too.
I know, right?
yeah. Oh darn.
Yeah.
Poor thing.
Shucks.
So anyways,
she actually doesn't seem like she's a bad person or anything like that.
No.
But she actually seems like she's actually
Pretty level-headed.
she
Pretty
seems like she'd
level-headed.
be a
like it.
super solid
she's questioning the main Bene Gesserit the whole time.
The
Yes.
entire time, yeah.
Like-
and the main Reverend Mother is like, she's, well, we'll get there. Hold on.
Yeah.
But she's, I trained you well. Like, she literally says, like, I
Yeah,
trained
right.
you well to the princess. Like,
yes.
Right.
yeah. But,
Okay, all right.
Go ahead.
I want to say it. I want to
You
say
do
it.
You do it.
So I don't know if it's before or after Fade dies, but he's like confronting the Emperor.
Before, yeah.
It was before. Okay, he's confronting the Emperor, and the old witch, the old Bene Gesserit, says something like, be careful what you say next, or be careful moving forward in this way, because he's being very aggressive.
Yes.
Very. Like,
he
dark
went from
side
he went from
Anakin,
0
like-
to 100.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he interrupts her, and in the coolest part of the entire movie, just uses the voice, screams silence at her, and she like falls over.
yeah.
Yes.
Crippling, like, down to her
Yes.
knees.
Well, because
yeah.
this is the first time we've really seen him like effectively use the voice.
Yeah.
You see it for a touch in the helicopter when they're
First movie.
in the first movie, but it's like it's very weak. It takes him twice to be able to actually get them to do a simple task.
Yeah.
And he's real forceful, and especially because the person he did it against too is
correct,
very
That's a huge
Yes.
statement. Huge statement.
Yes.
Shows his real power.
Yes.
Right.
So, anyways, he eventually kills Fade, and it seems to be that he spares the Emperor's life.
Makes him kiss his ring.
Makes him kiss his ring. Amazing. And all in this moment, we hear that the other great houses reject his ascendancy.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, and they fly off.
Even though it's like, I know that they're not in the room, but he won that battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
He's marrying the Emperor's daughter.
He's got proof, or at least in his testimony, that the Emperor
has sanctioned the
murder,
the destruction
of
of his family.
Yeah. And because he's, I think, on a rage quest, angry now, and he is the Emperor, so he's got the Emperor's army, the Imperial army. He's got the Sidarkar, or whatever they're called, and he's got his Fremen. And let's talk about this. Like, he's part Harkonnen.
Oh gosh.
Is he going to get the Harkonnen army too? Like, what is about to happen in this next movie?
Yeah.
Because that's it. We just covered the whole movie.
Yeah,
Right?
the entire movie. Yeah.
Okay, so speculation time.
First of all, I would like to throw out this idea of we haven't seen a whole lot about the structure of the universe politically, in the sense of so how does
the house's powers?
Yes, how does the world work in the sense of what is the Emperor? So my idea is there are two pathways for the Emperor. Ideally, idea one is the Emperor comes out of one of those great houses and then becomes outside of them and kind of rules. And the second one is that it's more so that one would be more like a Game of Thrones type of situation. The one I was just saying, they're great houses, and then the king becomes, comes from one of those great houses. The second one is more like Black Panther, whereas the world of Wakanda, there are tribes, and then there's literally the hierarchy of the Black Panther is actually a separate
just one
line that is not connected to the rest of the tribes.
I don't think that's it.
So you don't think that's it?
Because the Baron tells Fade that he's going to be Emperor.
Yeah, that's true.
Earlier.
Good point.
So I think it's pretty clear that it can come from any house.
Well, the reason why I'm saying that is the possibility of, because he doesn't seem to have a connection to any of the great houses.
I mean, he's probably ruled for forever, so he probably has. He probably doesn't have one.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. They don't make it clear.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming he does, and we're going to be introduced to what that house is, maybe.
Because and they also kind of set up this idea that it's almost like a check and balances. The Emperor rules over the other great houses, but the great houses, if they have enough power, if they were to combine, that the Emperor feels a little bit tentative about his situation, about whether he would be able to completely push back if all the houses join together.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah,
because he seems to be afraid of some of the great houses. In a way, I think that's part of the reason.
Why the Atreides.
I think that's the entire reason why
that he sets up the Atreides.
He wants to do that is, from his point of view, he was jealous and afraid of what Duke Leto could be if he were to unite all the other great houses.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that he's afraid of other houses, but the Emperor is still the only person to make the Baron seem small.
Yes.
Correct, yeah.
I still can't wrap my mind around, the way the movie portrays how strong the Baron is and how strong the Harkonnen army, planet, just culture is in, at least brute strength.
Yeah.
It makes me think, why do they care about it? The Baron is so fearful of the Emperor.
Yes.
And that's crazy to me.
Yes.
So, and I think that's not that these movies are bad. They're already so long, how much more can you put in? But I think that's the one thing that I'm missing, where it's I don't know what this next... I don't know what's next. We haven't got enough of this world building and politically around these other planets,
which I think we might get more
houses.
Of that, obviously.
Well, we're going to have to.
Yeah.
He's clearly...
So, at the end of the first movie, I don't forget exactly what the narration of Zendaya says, but she was like, this is the beginning of a journey or something like that, right? She says at the very end of the first movie. And at the end of this second movie, the narrator, I think at this time, is Lady Jessica, and she says, this is the beginning of a holy war. And that's literally at the end of the second movie. And so what we're led to believe as non-book readers, the third part of this movie is literally the Holy War. So it's going to be Paul Atreides, the Fremen, Sardaukar, Sardaukar, and maybe Harkonnen.
Who knows how many
right?
of them are left, actually, though, with the Sardaukar, because he straight up said, kill all of them.
That's true.
Correct. So how many of them are actually left?
Well, let's just say millions of Fremen. Let's just say millions of Fremen, right?
Yes.
You're right, though. Did he say that before he fought Fade? He took that. He said that when they took them prisoners.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Because and now what did he mean by that? Is a sense? Did he just mean the ones that were there?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or did he mean and they do specifically state that the Emperor brought his entire army. So is the entire army dead?
Yeah.
What is?
We'll see. I think maybe there's a few battalions still around. Yeah. I believe. But yeah. So it's them versus the other houses.
There's probably a Bad Batch somewhere out there. You know.
Yeah. You think so?
Maybe.
Yeah. We'll see.
Maybe we're gonna get some of them team up with Gurney.
Batch, yeah.
That would be an interesting
Yeah. My only thing is, and maybe this is because they are wanting us to focus on the discussion of where is Paul right now.
Right.
Not geographically, but
mentally.
Yeah.
This is where I said
right.
As of right now, I truly believe right now he's on the dark side. Full dark side.
Maybe if they spent time giving me what I actually want and more world building, so I see who these other houses are and where they stand in this whole. Maybe then I would want to almost view Paul as yeah, you should do that, Paul. I'm with you, Paul. But right now I'm just wondering where's Paul at mentally?
So this is what I believe, right? But I think Paul is full dark side right now, currently. And I do believe that Chani is going to be the good guy in this next third movie. And we're gonna want to be rooting for Chani and her trying to get Paul back. Yeah. That kind of thing.
I could see it. And like I said, I really do think there's a decent chance she teams up with
you say team up with Gurney, but at the end of this whole entire Paul taking control and destroying and making these moves, Gurney's smiling at the end.
Yeah,
so
but I think he doesn't.
It's going to take a downfall. It's going to take.
Well, I think he's going to see something.
Yeah,
I think he's going to see
him go real dark.
Yeah, I think he's going to see things will happen and what he has done, and that he's lost his way. Because I think Gurney also cares about he was so loyal to the Duke. And Duke Leto. So I think he'll see that this isn't a path that he would want his son to go down. Yeah.
And I feel like the turning point for Gurney is going to be watching Paul. Most likely, I'm telling you, I'm calling it now. He's killing a baby in the next movie. It's either going to be he has to kill Fade's baby because he's going to come, or the daughter's going to,
or his own sister,
he's going to have to kill. I feel like that's going to have to happen.
He's getting these prospects, these other prospects.
Yeah. And that's going to be his full dark turn, and then Gurney's going to be okay, maybe he's gone a little too far.
Yes.
Let's
maybe just a little bit.
All right, that's a little far.
Let's get him back, and you're the only one who can probably reach him. So
I'm really interested to see how Princess Erlan's going to fall into this, because she seems like a very interesting character, and in the books, legitimately every chapter starts with her reading something. There's a separate quote of her reading from books or conversations and things like that. Yeah. Her talking about her father, or it's literally the logs that you're seeing in the movie that she's doing, and it's gonna be very interesting to see where she falls in, because she doesn't seem like she's an evil character in her own right. So it's gonna be interesting to see where she falls in. Is she gonna be try to be a positive for good against, is she gonna try to guide him as a dutiful wife, or is she going to be undermining him, or
very good, yeah.
Is she going to see him being, jumping too far, and she's I can't follow this too. Is she going to be? Is it going to be could we even see a Princess Erlan, Shani, and Halleck becoming the force for good to try to pull him back from the ledge?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could all just go and read the book right now and find out what happens.
No, I'm not reading a book. I'm not reading a stupid book.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
But yeah, very good, man. I'm so
not
excited.
not
for
a
this.
stupid book.
Yeah.
Just not reading any books. Anyways, okay.
excited for the
what
third movie.
else? Any other thoughts?
I think it's just gonna be a lot of like war, carnage, and then like house building. I feel like that's it's gonna
House
be,
building and house burning, perhaps.
Yeah. Yep.
It'll be interesting to
Weddings
see-
for sure gonna happen.
Hey, here's something to think about. This movie, we said it right at the jump. The second movie, just no time jump. It just starts.
Oh yeah. I do
So-
think there will be a time jump.
you think
I
so?
do think there's gonna be a time jump here. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the next
Do you
movie.
think maybe like he's put like almost the other great houses under his thumb to a point, and it would be interesting to see like the wedding, if it like a wedding as a point for them to use it as a way
Unify
to
the
introduce all the other great houses. Like they're forced to get here, and so like you see their wedding, and then you see like you get these moments of dialogue between these other great houses to introduce like what this great house
Their thought
is, like where
processes,
they fall into the line of how they feel about this this new emperor.
Yeah, that'd be. I mean, yeah, and then I think that's how you can start with no time jump and a wedding, right? And then immediately when the wedding's over, time jump. He has control of the houses. He is the complete emperor, but the whole universe is kind of suffering.
Yeah.
And we now see a movie where Chani is leading a rebellion up against them. Like that would be pretty sweet, actually.
I really don't know what to expect.
Yeah, but
I think that I'm just going to need that next trailer. I know, again, I could probably go on Wikipedia and learn about the story.
oh,
but,
for sure.
But I'm just going to hold out, wait for that next trailer.
Yeah, you could watch the old Dune movie. I think it has at least some tie-in to the finale.
I am not watching that old Dune movie.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad. I remember watching it when I was a long time ago when I was younger, but I don't remember anything about it. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Great movie.
Great movie.
Yes.
Great time. It'll probably be a few years. Oh, well, go ahead.
Earlier today, I was just chilling in the house, relaxing, and I like leaned over to my wife and was like, "Yeah, I can definitely tell Dune was a good movie because I'm still thinking about it."
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
A
I'm still
movie that
thinking
you're
about
still
it.
lingering on. Yeah. Same
Yeah,
here.
so-
Same here.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, it'll probably be a few years until the next one.
Yeah, I'm thinking earliest late 2026, unfortunately.
And then I'll push it back 4 months into 2027.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, take your time. Build it right. Build it right. Okay. Well, boys, this was fun. This was a great conversation. Shout out to everybody who, stayed with us and listened to this whole review. We appreciate you so much. Be sure to come back for our next review. Don't know what that'll be. Don't know the next time we're going to do a podcast or what it's going to be on, but we're going to have a really good time. And the next movie is I think the next movie we're doing is the Kong and Godzilla movie, right?
That's right. Godzilla, Kong, New Empire.
It's gonna be freaking sick. Okay, not as good as Dune 2 though. This was
We'll
great.
see. We'll see.
Come on, dude. This is good. Okay, with all that in mind, just want to say thanks again to everyone tuning in. For my good friends Justin Sandoval and Anthony Amato, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.